Ryan's office revenge.
I watched 26 years of my life get reduced to a termination notice, while some 25-year-old kid sat across from me like I was broken hardware ready for disposal. The secure conference room at Defense Tech Solutions felt more like a court-martial, and I was definitely the one getting drummed out. My name is Andrew Garrett. I'm 53 years old, and I just watched my career get handed to a business school graduate who thinks national security is something you can optimize with PowerPoint slides. Across that polished table, CEO Charles Westfield leaned back with the smug confidence of a man who thought innovation meant firing anyone who actually understood the systems we protected. Next to him sat his grandson Brandon, fresh out of Wharton, already wearing a visitor's badge around his neck like some kind of medal. The kid looked more interested in checking his phone than understanding what he was about to inherit. "Your time here is done, Drew," Charles said, sliding those termination papers across like he was dealing cards. 26 years is a good run, but defense tech needs fresh perspectives. Brandon understands digital transformation in ways your generation simply cannot. Brandon nodded like he'd just solved world hunger. This was the same kid who'd spent his internship last summer, suggesting we migrate all our Pentagon contracts to cloud servers and asking why we couldn't just use machine learning to automatically stop cyber attacks. I'd sat through 4 meetings where he used phrases like leverage AI-driven security paradigms without anyone having the spine to ask what it actually meant. The timing was perfect, in the worst possible way. 3 days ago, I'd missed my son Jordan's presentation at Lockheed Martin because we had a critical vulnerability in our Federal Reserve communication protocols. Jordan worked defense contracts too, following in the old man's footsteps, and I could hear the disappointment in his voice when he called. "I understand, Dad. The mission comes first, but understanding doesn't make it hurt less." I'd spent that entire weekend patching security holes that could have compromised banking data for half the East Coast. While Brandon was probably at some tech conference posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn, I was deep in classified systems protecting the financial infrastructure that keeps this country running. The vulnerability could have given foreign actors access to transaction routing for every major bank from Boston to Miami. Now here I was getting shown the door by the same family that had called my work mission critical just last month. Charles straightened his tie, acting like he'd just made the smartest business decision since sliced bread. "Brandon's going to completely revolutionize our security architecture, artificial intelligence integration, blockchain verification, real 21st century solutions." I almost laughed out loud. The 21st century? I'd been protecting digital infrastructure since before Brandon learned to drive. But I kept my mouth shut and reached for the pen. What these two geniuses didn't know was that Charles's father, the company founder, had been paranoid about corporate sabotage back in 1999. The old man had insisted on a very specific clause buried deep in all our government licensing agreements. If the original defense architect was ever terminated without cause, all operational rights to the 24 cybersecurity patents I developed would automatically revert back to me personally, not the company. I'd thought it was overkill when we first drafted those contracts 25 years ago. Back then, Defense Tech was just a small Virginia Beach outfit with 18 employees and big dreams of Pentagon contracts. The founder had made me promise to include that protection clause in every single government deal we signed. "Trust takes decades to build and seconds to destroy," he told me. "Make sure you can protect the work if someone tries to steal it from you." The old man had been worried about hostile takeovers from competitors. He never imagined the threat would come from his own grandson's arrogance. Over the years, that portfolio had grown to include 24 patents worth approximately $285 million and covering everything from encrypted military communications to automated threat detection for critical infrastructure. These weren't just technical documents. They were the foundation of every defense contract we'd built, every security clearance we maintained, every compliance certification that kept us in business, every major government contract, every Pentagon security protocol, every Federal Reserve communication channel. They all ran through licensing agreements that explicitly required my personal authorization as the original architect. It was the legal equivalent of a dead man's switch, and Charles had just pulled the trigger. I signed the papers without saying a word. Charles mistook my silence for defeat. Brandon was already updating his LinkedIn profile, probably crafting his excited to announce my new leadership role post. Neither of them had bothered to read the fine print on what they had just activated. As I gathered my things, I thought about Jordan's presentation that I'd missed. He was working on secure communication systems for Lockheed, following in his father's footsteps but choosing a different path. For years, he'd been trying to understand why I worked so many late nights, missed so many dinners, something with government computers, he'd tell his friends. Maybe getting fired would finally give me time to explain it properly. Walking out of that building felt surreal. For the first time in over 2 decades, I wasn't rushing back to monitor security alerts or prep emergency patches for classified systems. No late-night calls about vulnerabilities in Pentagon networks. No weekend deployments to protect Federal Reserve data. I was just Andrew Garrett, unemployed defense contractor, carrying a cardboard box with 26 years of memories and a legal time bomb that was about to detonate. The security guard at the front desk looked sympathetic as I badged out for the last time. "Sorry to see you go, Mr. Garrett," he said quietly. "This place won't be the same without you." He had no idea how right he was. I drove home slowly, thinking about all those nights I'd sacrificed for Defense Tech's mission. The family dinners missed for security emergencies. The birthdays skipped for Pentagon briefings. My divorce from Helen 8 years ago when she finally admitted I was more married to that security clearance than I was to her. But as I pulled into my driveway, something felt different. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of national security on my shoulders. I was free to be exactly who I'd always been underneath all that classified responsibility. And tomorrow morning, Charles Westfield was going to learn what that really meant. Monday morning, March 18th, I woke up at row 530 out of pure military habit. For the first time in 26 years, I had nowhere to report, no threat briefings waiting on my secure phone, no emergency patches to deploy for government networks. I made coffee and sat by my kitchen window watching Northern Virginia wake up below me. The quiet felt strange after decades of constant alerts and system monitoring. Part of me kept checking my phone for the usual cascade of overnight security notifications that would never come again. At exactly 0915, my secure phone buzzed. A text from the Federal Reserve's IT Security Division. The message was short and brutal. System access denied. Original architect credentials required for protocol activation. I nearly choked on my coffee. It was starting. By 0945, 3 more government agencies had sent identical messages. By 10:30, it was 6. The pattern was always the same. License verification failed. Original architect authorization needed to maintain security clearance. I could picture the absolute chaos erupting inside Defense Tech's offices right now. Charles would be pacing around his corner office like a caged animal, barking orders at assistants who had no answers. Brandon would be frantically Googling how to restore government security access, probably trying to figure out if there was an app for that. The beauty of it was the timing. Every single one of those 24 patents had automatic verification protocols built in. The systems I designed didn't just check credentials once. They validated authorization every Monday morning at 0915 sharp. It was a security feature I'd implemented after a Chinese hacking attempt in 2019. The irony was perfect. A protection I'd built to secure American interests was now protecting my own. My phone started ringing around 1100. First, it was Amanda Torres, our head of defense operations, then Staff Sergeant Martinez from the Pentagon Technical Liaison Office. Even some agency contacts were calling me directly, trying to understand why their secure communications had suddenly gone dark. I let them all go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to talk yet. Besides, watching the news feeds was more entertaining. The first headline appeared on Defense News at 11:47. Major defense contractor Defense Tech experiences widespread system failures. By noon, it was trending on government contractor forums and LinkedIn. The comment section was a massacre. "This is what happens when you prioritize MBAs over security clearances." One Pentagon contractor posted, "National security isn't a startup game. You need people who've actually fought these digital battles," wrote another. Brandon had posted something early that morning about exciting leadership transitions and innovative security paradigms for the digital battlefield. The post had 1,200 angry comments and counting. Someone had replied with a screenshot of a banking security error message and the caption, "How's that innovation working out for national defense?" The kid had deleted the post by 12:30, around 1400. Jordan called me. "Dad, I saw the news about Defense Tech. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, son. Actually, I'm better than I've been in years, but they fired you after everything you built there." His voice carried that mix of anger and confusion that reminded me of his teenage years. For a moment, I heard echoes of arguments we'd had when he was 16, questioning why I worked so late, why the job always came first. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is getting fired by people who don't understand what you protect. I don't get it. If you built all their security systems, how can they just replace you? I smiled even though he couldn't see it. That's exactly what they're learning right now. You can't replace 26 years of government relationships with an MBA and good intentions. What do you mean? Every system I built has my digital signature embedded in the licensing code. It's like a security fingerprint. Without my authorization, nothing works. I designed it that way to protect against corporate theft, but it turns out it also protects against corporate stupidity. Jordan was quiet for a moment. I could hear him processing this, probably thinking about his own work at Lockheed. the relationships he was building with his Pentagon contacts. So you could fix this if you wanted to. I could, but I won't. Not for them. Dad, I owe you an apology. When I was younger, I thought you were just obsessed with work. I didn't understand that you were protecting something bigger than just a job that hit deeper than I expected. You don't owe me anything, son. No, I do. I've been talking to my colleagues at Lockheed about what happened. They all know your reputation. One guy said you saved his previous company from a ransomware attack that could have compromised defense contracts worth billions. I had no idea. The conversation with Jordan meant more than any LinkedIn post defending my reputation. My son was finally understanding not just what I did, but why it mattered. Tuesday morning brought a cascade of failures that made Monday look like a minor glitch. The secure communication channels I'd built for 6 government agencies went completely dark. Defense contractors lost access to classified data systems. Even basic infrastructure monitoring started throwing critical errors. By 1,000, 12 of our 14 major government contracts had been suspended. The messages were identical. Licensing agreement violated original architect approval required for continued operations. That's when Brandon made his first public mistake. He scheduled an emergency press conference for 1400 that afternoon. Someone at Defense Tech must have realized the optics were terrible, having the kid who caused the crisis try to explain it away, but Charles was probably desperate enough to try anything. I watched it online from a coffee shop in Arlington, and it was painful to witness. The kid stood there in his expensive suit, sweating under the studio lights, reading from prepared notes that someone else had obviously written. We're experiencing some temporary integration challenges during our leadership transition, he said, his voice cracking slightly. Our team is working around the clock to resolve these minor disruptions to service. A reporter in the front row raised her hand. Mr. Westfield, sources tell us that these minor disruptions have already suspended millions in defense contracts and potentially compromised national security communications. How do you respond to that? Brandon's face went red. We're not prepared to discuss specific operational impacts at this time. Another journalist pressed harder. Isn't it true that your company's former defense architect, Andrew Garrett, held critical system access that was never properly transferred during his termination? That's when Brandon completely lost his composure. Andrew Garrett represented the old guard mentality that was holding this company back. His methods were outdated. His systems were legacy technology that needed to be replaced anyway. Defense Tech is moving forward with AI-driven solutions that don't rely on obsolete thinking from previous generations. I had to give him points for commitment. Even while his grandfather's company was burning down around him, he was still pushing the innovation over experience narrative. But calling my life's work obsolete thinking on national television was a tactical error of epic proportions. Within hours, defense professionals across the industry were defending my reputation online. These were people who'd built their own careers using frameworks and protocols I developed. Pentagon liaisons who'd worked with me for decades. Military contractors who understood what was really at stake. The tide of public opinion was turning into a tsunami, and Brandon was about to get swept away. One post that went viral came from Colonel Sarah Martinez, a Pentagon cybersecurity director. I've worked with Andrew Garrett on 7 major security audits. His obsolete methods have prevented more data breaches than Brandon Westfield has probably even heard of. This is ageism disguised as innovation, and it's going to cost people their security clearances. Another from James Rodriguez, who'd worked under me for 6 years before starting his own firm. Andrew Garrett taught me everything I know about defense cybersecurity. Calling his work legacy technology is like calling gravity an outdated concept. Some things don't need to be disrupted, they need to be respected. Even Amanda Torres posted something that afternoon, and she was still technically employed at Defense Tech, watching a 26-year expert get replaced by someone who thinks blockchain solves national security. This industry has lost its mind. Brandon tried to respond to the growing criticism with another LinkedIn post that evening. It was a masterpiece of corporate speak and personal destruction. I appreciate the feedback from industry veterans about our recent transition. However, Defense Tech Solutions remains committed to next-generation security solutions that leverage artificial intelligence, machine learning, and distributed ledger technologies to create a more robust defensive posture against emerging threats. We respect the contributions of previous leadership while embracing the innovative methodologies that modern cybersecurity demands. The post got 2,100 comments and they were all negative. Defense professionals were posting screenshots of system failures. Clients were publicly announcing contract suspensions, and former Defense Tech employees were sharing stories about my mentorship and leadership. The final nail in Brandon's coffin came from an unexpected source, his own business school. Professor Jennifer Walsh, who taught his strategic management course, posted a response that destroyed him. Mr. Westfield seems to have confused confidence with competence. Strategic management isn't about replacing proven systems with trendy alternatives. It's about understanding what works and why it works before attempting any changes. This appears to be a lesson he missed during his time in our program. Even his alma mater was throwing him under the bus. Wednesday morning, March 20th, brought the collapse I'd been expecting. Every single one of Defense Tech's remaining government partners simultaneously suspended their contracts. The messages arrived within minutes of each other, all carrying the same devastating language: contract voided due to licensing violation. Original architect approval required for any future operations. I was reading the coverage over breakfast when my phone rang. Charles's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring 4 times before answering, just to let him sweat. Drew, his voice was strained, almost pleading. "We need to talk, do we, Charles? You know we do. This situation is completely out of control." I set down my coffee cup and laughed, actually laughed out loud. "Charles, this isn't a situation that's spiraling. This is the consequence of your decision. You wanted innovation and digital transformation. Remember, you got exactly what you asked for. Look, maybe we moved too quickly. Maybe there's room for negotiation here." Negotiation? I could hear voices shouting in the background on his end. Probably board members demanding answers he didn't have. "You mean like offering me my job back? Like admitting publicly that you made a mistake?" "Yes, whatever it takes." The desperation in his voice was almost pathetic. This was the same man who'd sat across from me 4 days ago, acting like firing me was a brilliant strategic move. Because that's not how this works anymore, Charles. You didn't just terminate my employment. You publicly humiliated me in front of the entire defense industry. Your grandson called my life's work obsolete thinking on national TV. Drew, be reasonable. The company has 400 employees. People's livelihoods are at stake here. You should have thought about that before you decided experience was worthless. You should have considered their livelihoods before you handed critical defense operations to a 25-year-old who thinks blockchain solves national security. What do you want? Money? Equity? A consultant position? Name your price. That question hung in the air for a moment. What did I want? For weeks I thought I wanted revenge. I wanted to watch them suffer the way they'd made me suffer. But sitting there listening to Charles beg, I realized something had changed. I don't want anything from you, Charles. That's the point you're missing. You can't buy back trust. You can't purchase 26 years of government relationships. And you definitely can't undo the damage your grandson did to our reputation. The board is meeting in 2 hours. They're going to demand my resignation. Good. Maybe they'll pick someone who understands the difference between innovation and destruction. I hung up on him, but the conversation left me unsettled. Charles was right about one thing: 400 people were about to lose their jobs because of this mess. Good people who'd worked hard, who trusted the leadership to make smart decisions. They didn't deserve to suffer for Charles and Brandon's arrogance. The stock market opened that morning with Defense Tech down 52% in pre-market trading. By lunch, it had dropped another 8%. Financial news networks were running continuous coverage with headlines like "Defense Contractor Collapses After Leadership Blunder," and "When Nepotism Meets National Security," a cautionary tale. The most damaging coverage came from Defense Industry Weekly, a trade publication that had featured me on their cover 3 times in the past decade. Their article was brutal. Andrew Garrett spent over 2 decades building Defense Tech Solutions into the most trusted name in government cybersecurity. His protocols protect everything from Pentagon communications to Federal Reserve networks. Yesterday, the company's new leadership called his methods obsolete. Today, they're begging him to come back as their entire client base abandons ship. This is what happens when buzzwords replace expertise. By 1400, "Bring Back Garrett" was trending on LinkedIn. Defense professionals from around the world were sharing stories about working with me, defending the systems I'd built, and absolutely destroying Brandon's reputation in the process. Around 1500, I got a call that would change everything. The number showed up as restricted, which usually meant government business. "Mr. Garrett, this is Colonel Patricia Wells from the Department of Defense Cybersecurity Division. I hope you have a few minutes to talk." I knew Patricia by reputation. She was serious business, former NSA, current Pentagon cyber operations. If she was calling me directly, something big was happening. "I have time, Colonel. We've been monitoring the situation with Defense Tech very closely. The failure of their systems has created some significant concerns about continuity of operations for several critical defense contracts." I waited for her to continue. "More importantly, we've been impressed by the elegance of your security architecture. The fact that your systems automatically protected themselves from unauthorized access demonstrates exactly the kind of forward-thinking design we need more of, not less." She paused, and I could hear the weight behind her next words. "We'd like to offer you a position as Senior Cybersecurity Advisor for the Department of Defense. You'd be coordinating threat response across multiple agencies." working with a budget of $2.2 billion and leading teams of the most skilled defense professionals in the country. I set down the coffee mug I'd been holding. I'm listening, Colonel. The salary is a $195,000 base, plus performance bonuses that typically add another 25%. Full benefits, security clearance upgrade to TSSCI, and the kind of resources you've never had access to in the private sector. Most importantly, you'd be working with people who understand the value of experience. The number was solid. Defense Tech had been paying me $165,000 after 26 years of service. This was better money, plus benefits, plus the chance to work at the highest levels of national security. But more than that, it was recognition that experience still mattered somewhere. There's one more thing, she added. We've been monitoring the defense contractor job market since your termination became public. 14 major firms have contacted us asking for your contact information. Word travels fast in our industry, Mr. Garrett. Everyone knows what Defense Tech lost when they let you go. I thought about those 400 employees who were about to lose their jobs. I thought about Amanda Torres and the other good people who'd worked alongside me for years. Then I thought about my son Jordan and what kind of message accepting this position would send about the value of public service versus corporate profits. When would you need an answer? We understand this is a significant decision. Take the weekend to consider it. But Mr. Garrett, I want you to know that this offer comes directly from the Secretary of Defense. Your reputation in this community is unquestionable. I accepted the offer that Thursday brought the board's emergency meeting at Defense Tech. I didn't need inside information to know what was happening. The writing was on every defense contractor website in America. The announcement came at 16/1/17. Defense Tech Solutions announces leadership transition effective immediately. Charles Westfield has resigned as CEO. Brandon Westfield has been reassigned to special projects pending further review. In corporate language, special projects meant they were hoping he'd quit so they wouldn't have to fire the founder's great-grandson outright. That evening, Jordan called me again. Dad, I've been reading about what happened all week. I had no idea how much respect you had in this industry. It's not about the respect, son, it's about the work. No, it's more than that. I was reading some of those LinkedIn posts from people you worked with. They're calling you a legend. One guy said you saved his agency from a cyber attack that could have compromised intelligence operations for 6 months. I felt something shift in my chest. For 26 years, I'd been so focused on the technical details, the code, the protocols, the system architecture, that I'd forgotten about the human element. I wasn't just managing servers and firewalls. I was protecting this country's infrastructure, keeping government communications secure, making sure the systems our democracy depends on kept running. I think I'm finally starting to understand what you actually do, Jordan continued. You're not just working with computers, you're protecting people. And now you get to do it at the highest level possible. That conversation meant more to me than any LinkedIn post or news article. My son was beginning to see me not as the dad who missed his presentations for work, but as someone whose work actually mattered to the security of our nation. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in an office in the Pentagon, looking out over the Potomac River. My nameplate read Andrew Garrett, Senior Cybersecurity Advisor, Department of Defense. The irony wasn't lost on me. Getting fired had launched me into the most prestigious position of my career. My first day, I received a congratulatory email from Amanda Torres, Defense Tech's former head of operations. She'd left the company the day after Charles's resignation. Heard about your new position. Well deserved. P.S. Brandon lasted exactly 13 days in special projects before they quietly asked him to resign. He's back living with his parents, apparently exploring opportunities in the hospitality industry. The email made me smile, but it also made me think about second chances. Mine had come through vindication and government recognition. Brandon's would have to come through humility and actual learning, assuming he was capable of either. That weekend, Jordan drove down from his office at Lockheed Martin to visit my new workplace. He walked around slowly, reading the framed commendations on my walls, the thank you letters from various agencies, the awards from defense conferences where I'd been a keynote speaker. Dad, he said, finally picking up a plaque from the Department of Homeland Security. I owe you a bigger apology than I thought. All these years, I thought you just worked with computers. I had no idea you were protecting people's entire way of life. You don't owe me anything, son. I'm the one who should apologize. I spent so many years focused on the mission that I forgot to explain why it mattered. No, you were doing something important. I just couldn't see it. He set the plaque down carefully. I've been thinking about applying for a Pentagon liaison position myself. Maybe government service instead of just corporate defense contracts. That surprised me. You don't have to follow in my footsteps just because of what happened. I'm not. I'm doing it because I finally understand where those footsteps lead." He gestured around the office. "You spent your whole career protecting people and they didn't even know it. That's the kind of work that actually matters." 6 months into the job, I established a cybersecurity mentorship program for young professionals entering government service. The program paired experienced advisors with recent college graduates, teaching them not just the technical skills they needed, but the broader understanding of why their work mattered to national security. Brandon Westfield, according to his LinkedIn profile, had found work as a junior event coordinator at a resort in Colorado. He'd stopped posting about disrupting industries or leveraging AI solutions. Sometimes people find their right place in life through failure rather than success. Charles retired to his farm in Shenandoah Valley. I heard through industry contacts that he'd started raising horses and had stopped following defense industry news entirely. Some people need to step away completely to find peace. Defense Tech Solutions was eventually acquired by a larger defense contractor for about $95 million, roughly 30% of what the company had been worth before my departure. The acquiring company hired me as a consultant to help restore the government relationships that had been destroyed, which felt like a fitting circle of professional life. The best part of my new position wasn't the salary or the prestige, it was the work itself. For the first time in my career, I was collaborating with people who understood that cybersecurity wasn't just about technology. It was about trust, relationships, and the patient accumulation of expertise over decades. My team included former NSA analysts, MIT professors, and industry veterans who'd been fighting cyber warfare since before Brandon was born. When we met around conference tables, nobody questioned my methods or suggested we needed to disrupt our approach. They respected what worked and built on it intelligently. Looking back now, I realize that Charles and Brandon did me the greatest favor of my professional life. They freed me from a company that had stopped deserving my loyalty. They forced me to remember that my value wasn't tied to their recognition. It was embedded in the work itself. The security systems I built still protect this country every day. The difference is now I'm building them for an organization that understands what protection actually means. And when I go home each night, I know that my son finally understands it too. If you're reading this and you're over 50, working in a job where some young hotshot thinks your experience doesn't matter, remember this. Competence doesn't have an expiration date. The systems that keep our world running aren't built by people with the newest degrees or the flashiest presentations. They're built by people who understand that some things are too important to be left to inexperience. Your knowledge has value. Your experience matters. And sometimes the best thing that can happen to your career is getting fired by people who are too foolish to recognize what they're throwing away. Don't let anyone convince you that being seasoned makes you obsolete. In the real world, where things actually have to work and people's safety depends on getting it right, experience isn't just valuable, it's irreplaceable.